Hello, I'm Asha Cole, and I'm here to do an analysis on Drive My Car, one out of the three stories in Men Without Women. This book is by Haruki Murakami. Okay, so in this part of the text, he talks about the difference between men and women, and he also talks about how women pay close attention to detail and you know they pay close attention to detail and they're just more like smarter. And he also explains the two types of women drivers, and they're aggressive drivers and there are normal drivers. And he classifies his new driver Misaki as a normal driver. Okay, so in this excerpt, you can tell the relationship between Kafuku and Misaki. You can tell that she's younger because, you can tell that she's younger because Kafuku, he says, a cassette player. I like cassette players, they're easier than CDs. And you can tell that he's older. And Masaki's like, well, I haven't seen those in a while. And you can kind of assume that she's younger. And she's like, this is an old man, obviously. So you can tell the relationship dynamic. And going back to Kafuku and talking about female drivers, in this excerpt, he was talking about how Masaki drove and her mannerisms, how she just knew what she was doing, and just, the way she moved the car and operated it, and it was smooth sailing, and she was a very careful person and a relaxed person. Even though she was blunt, she was about her job and her business, and she just wanted to get her job done. And she was great at it, and she was a very calm driver. So, in the beginning, we're introduced to Kafuku and his wife, um, who passed away, and they loved each other dearly, but the relationship wasn't always perfect. He knew that some things in the relationship were lacking, therefore, infidelity did happen. So he's in the car with Misaki, and they're talking about his wife and the infidelities, and he sat there and questioned himself. He still doesn't understand why she had to cheat on him. What was I lacking in the relationship, and what was wrong with our relationship? What didn't I do enough? And thinking back um, about it, they had a child, and they had the child, and the child died, and that led for more room for infidelities. She probably felt empty. She probably felt like, I need something else to fulfill me because I just lost something, and my husband's not quite enough, if that makes sense. So, again, they gave birth to a baby girl, and she died. And Masaki said that her father was born at the same year as Kafuku, and in a way, Masaki probably sees Kafuku as a father figure, and Kafuku probably sees Masaki as a daughter figure. Henceforth, he did lose a daughter. He did lose a daughter, so in a way, she's like filling that void because he lost his wife. He's an actor. He's old. He's by himself. He doesn't have friends. He obviously has no one to talk to, and just having that daughter loving figure in his life kind of fills that void. Okay. And again, he became very antisocial, and Misaki was like, "You don't have any friends," and it's obvious that you don't have any friends. And he felt as though, and in another excerpt, he felt as though that his wife was like his only friend. His wife was his best friend, and she was mostly there, like they were best friends. Okay, so again, Misaki and Kafuku are getting to know each other, their backgrounds, and they both lost someone. Misaki lost her mother due to alcohol, and she's not really that sad about it, but can sympathize with Kafuku because he lost his wife, someone that was dear and close to them. So they kind of have that connection again. So Kafuku was aware of his wife and the infidelities in the relationship. He explains how he was just so in need of answers, and he also became friends with the man that slept with his wife. He just, he was lonely. He really didn't have anybody, and Masaki was very confused as to why would you be friends with someone who slept with your wife. And we're introduced to the man that the wife slept with, Takasuki. Um, Kafuku introduced himself to him, and Takasuki was surprised. He was like, he probably thought in his head, I slept with this man's wife. Why is he talking to me? Does he want answers? Does he want to fight me? Does he want to kill me? Like, does he want revenge? He doesn't know, and that's probably what's going through his head. Kafuku's just, on the other hand, trying to play it cool, trying to play it safe, not trying to look suspicious. And he's just like, kind of wants to get answers. He wants to know, he's getting to know Takasuki because he wants to know who was this man and how was he like? What did he have that I didn't have? Why was my wife sleeping with him? What did she see in him that I didn't have, or what, she didn't see in me? What he had that I didn't have? What did he have so special that I couldn't bring to the table? And as they're having the interaction, he shakes his hand. He, Kafuku shakes Takasuki's hand, and that's the hand that touched and caressed his wife. It's almost as if Takasuki had a piece of Kafuku's wife in a way, and it just probably brought back memories. It probably brought back chills, and probably even stirred up some anger and undealt with emotions. Okay, and this part is where the plot thickens. This is their first interaction, in another setting, and I felt as though that Kafuku was gonna call Takasuki out in regards to his wife, and at this point he says, Takasuki says, losing someone that's wonderful, and he says in general, trying to clear up his words so he doesn't give himself away, but he can't give himself away because Kafuku already knows the truth. Um, I kind of came to this conclusion, henceforth, why the title is called Drive My Car. And in the beginning, he talks about women, and Masaki is the one driving, and she's kind of in control. And then he talks about a blind spot. A blind spot basically saying that there was something inside of her important that he missed. And it's like the woman driving the car, like symbolism as in taking control or in the relationship, and the blind spot is where the husband can't see, because in a car when you're driving there's a blind spot. There's a part where you can't see but the passenger may be able to see, like while you're driving. So I kind of made that comparison or analogy. And at a point, Kafuku wanted revenge on this guy. As apart from being his friend and wanting answers, he really actually thought about punishing him. But Takasuki had a lot of baggage. He had separated with his wife. He had a kid, and just putting him in a compromising situation to lose it all. Kafuku was like, well, hey, I already lost my wife. What's the point? She's not coming back. I feel like he still never got the answer he wanted. In a way, he felt I felt as though this was they had an understanding, and that didn't really need to be explained or discussed, which could count as closure itself. Again, they're talking about the reasons behind the wife's infidelities, And Misaki explains that it could be a mental illness, and she even compared it to the absence of her father and the alcohol abuse of her mother. So, going back to Kafuku and his revenge, in the end, he never really got that closure and that, you know, revenge that he wanted. But um, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing of him because, like, he knew that, hey, my wife is already gone. This guy has nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose. I already lost someone important to me. So it didn't matter. But overall, what I got from this was that, you know, when someone like loses someone, you know, and they're like isolated and alone, that's kind of like a cry for help. Like he needed that moment. He needed Mika's Miyazaki in his life. He needed that moment. He needed to get that off his chest because he hasn't told that story to anybody. And yes, so this concludes my analysis.